reason is because it was delayed for 3 years. 3 years it sat on the shelf waiting to be released. And the reason for that is, which some of you probably know because I've talked about it a lot over the years, but the main reason for that is after finishing the movie with Universal Studios, shooting on their back lot, which many of you probably noticed that the best little whorehouse in Texas house is the Firefly house, at least in this film. After the movie was done and completed and we did a test screening, the Universal executives were horrified and brought me into their office and said, yada, 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 we can't release this movie without substantial editing. At that point, I didn't want to edit it at all. I mean, not watered down editing. I didn't want to make it a PG movie, so they dropped it. It sat around for a while, and I shopped it around to basically every studio there was to shop it to, and everyone said no. Because at that time, if you think back to the years early 2000s, horror movies weren't as popular. They definitely weren't seen as mainstream entertainment to make money, and since making money is the main objective with the studios, they just didn't care. And then eventually the movie landed at MGM, surprisingly. So I was back at MGM editing the film because we hadn't really finished. And then something happened there, and we got booted out of MGM, homeless again. So eventually we started getting really desperate. We thought of a lot of ways, like perhaps releasing it on our own, really small, but I always had bigger hopes for the movie than that. And finally, even though I believe Lionsgate had passed on the film, or at least that was what I was told, maybe there was some confusion, like I said, it's hard to remember, Lionsgate bought the film. And from there on out, they were great. They were, they didn't make me make any changes. They were full on board. And a lot of times, this version is the same version we will always see, we will forever see. A lot of times people ask me, when are we going to see the unrated version? When are we going to see the version with all the stuff that got cut out? And I don't know where it is. Nobody knows where it is. For all I know, it got burnt in a fire when they had that fire at Universal Studios many years back. I don't know. So this will forever be, I keep looking behind me as if the screen camera. This will forever be the movie you're about to watch, the only version available. And at the time, me and the cast, we all felt like we were, not like doing something special in the sense like, oh, it's so special, but there was a vibe on set, and the vibe with all the people to this day has remained. Everybody's still friends. Many of the cast is now, they've all passed away. Most recently Sid Haig and Michael J. Pollard and Karen Black and Bill Keys. Jesus Christ, a lot of people. I'm forgetting somebody, I'm sure. Harrison Young, Dennis Fimple. Dennis Fimple died before the film was ever shown, so he never saw it. Matthew McGrory. So it was a good time. We had a good time making it. Crazy time. Nobody was paying attention to what we were doing at Universal. So much so that when they saw the film, they kicked us out. But I guess for that reason, we made a true cult movie. As a kid, I always loved what people call cult movies, but you can't make a cult movie. Cult movies just happen, whether it's Eraserhead or Faster Pussycat Kill Kill or whatever, something, Rocky Horror Picture Show, whatever. It's because the fans embrace a movie that was basically forgotten and bring it back to life. And House of a Thousand Corpses definitely became one of those films. It was a film that was destined to be thrown away, forgotten, in some cases never even seen, but the fans embraced it, and 20 years later, kept it so alive that it's back in theaters, which is insane. There's more toys than ever, more merch, more everything. There's been 2 sequels, so really, anyone in the theater right now watching this film right now is a testament to you and how you've kept it alive. And for me, that's the greatest joy of it all. That's why I loved movies, because it was just, you find a weird movie that you love and you don't even know if anyone else has ever even heard of it. And that's always what I loved. It was never about giant box office and giant things. It was like, that's what I always loved. And that's what this movie essentially is. And there you go. Anyway, there it is. House of a Thousand Corpses. 20 years later, 23 years later, if you want to get technical, but 20 years later on the big screen. Enjoy.